Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle with you on a Thursday night, a little about 9:40 or so. We're going to give you an update on the weather for the eclipse to see how that's been changing in the model data to see if it's getting better or worse for your viewing pleasure of the darkness. And then we'll talk about the latest update for Saturday as to whether or not we're going to have severe weather across the state and what form that will be in. Will there be hail, wind, and tornadoes? Will it just be some hail and wind or what? So look at the newest data and see what's shaking in that department as well. So thanks for tuning in all over the state and even out of state in some cases. Sometimes you guys will tune in from different parts of the country, which is very cool. I see you guys out there in Arkansas as well. And I do try to give you guys throw you a bone every now and then, just the way you're in the loop. David, I see you throwing me some stars already for Facebook. I appreciate it. YouTube, you guys. Hello from Mustang. I see you, Lisa. Let's see who else we got. More in the house. Renee's here. Well, I'm glad you're safe, Renee. Woo, that was a bad storm for you the other night. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And Adarko's in the house. Let's see. I see you, Boomer Sooner. You changed your name again. You guys on YouTube go rotate through your names like job descriptions or job hopping. It's pretty funny. I see you, Sepulpa there, Robert. All right, so Brandy, thank you for the stars on Facebook as well. So as always, thank you for liking, sharing the video, telling your friends and family about AT's weather. Remember, this whole thing was built organically, so it doesn't go anywhere without you. So if you don't share the good word, the gospel of the weather, then nobody gets to hear it. You guys all have to be modern day weather disciples. Sorry, it's the way it is. I'm not going to pay all these platforms to boost content. I'm not a $1 million news organization that can afford to just throw thousands of dollars in a hole. So I don't do that. I do that based off of what you guys. So what we get is what you guys give. And so it's a symbiotic relationship. So I appreciate you guys help me in that fashion as always. So out there currently, we do have some clear skies. It's a nice quiet night. I've now cooled in the 50s, 59 degrees. Some of you had a little bit of a light freeze earlier this morning, especially across northern parts of eastern Oklahoma. I did post in the comments section. You can join the Facebook weather broadcast channel. Many of you were kind of having some anxiety the other night because of the storms, and you weren't quite getting the Facebook Live notifications. And we've been through this a billion times. I don't write the rules for Facebook. They change them all the time. They will always dicker with your settings to where you don't always get what you want. This broadcast channel should be a workaround, though. I can notify you when I do go live so you don't miss it like I did tonight. So all 6,500 or so of you are there tonight. We're able to get that notification. Okay, so let's move on to the newest thing I have for you. So again, if you notice, we had a few tornadoes across the state Monday evening. Most of those centered across the northeast Oklahoma in and around the Bartlesville area. This one supercell storm kind of hot-scotched a few tornadoes out of it. And Brendan was very cool to leave me a really nice testimony. If you haven't had a chance to read this here, from Barnsdall. And if you'll take a look, this is what he was viewing coming his way as the tornadic storm was approaching. And he was using my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. And it gave him this twisting storm approaching that you see here on the bottom of the deal here at 7:25. He took that picture at 7:34. And then he said, all right, then I'm going to go into the Frady hole, right? Because, yeah, there is something coming. If you do look at the tornado track from the storm, from National Weather Services, that green area, the width of the tornado, believe it or not, was actually pretty wide. It was about 0.3 of a mile, 0.33 measured. So that's a pretty good width for a tornado. Usually they're a lot smaller than that in width. Thankfully, though, it was only an EF1. That's what the green indicates. So, again, here's the central town of Barnsdall. On the southeast side is where it got hit. So if we zoomed into that area, and this little region right here is where it started, in that southeastern corner. And the reason why I want to bring that up to you is because my users, there was 4 people that used my weather app, right when that tornado developed. So all of these guys got the warning that a tornado was developing long before it occurred. So if you do use my weather app, again, I don't know who you are. You look like a little, your latitude, longitude, and a little blurb here on the screen, and that's it. So in other words, there's no privacy lost in this. But what it does is because it knows your exact GPS location, and or you can put your physical address, it will actually issue that twisting storm alert directly for you. So in other words, it doesn't overwarn. So it won't be overwarning the whole area, just your specific location. And that way, if you see this thing coming for you, right, better hit the dirt. So that's how that stuff works. But anyway, so it was a great testimonial that he passed along, so I appreciate that. So if you haven't had a chance to use it, head over to Apple and Google Play stores, and you can download it. It's called AT's Weather to Go. All right, so let's take a look now at the weather upcoming. Great weather, really, for the last couple of days, in the afternoon. It's going to start getting a little windy, though. So tomorrow a little bit, but then Saturday for sure. We're going to have winds gusting up around 40-plus miles per hour. And, of course, when that happens, you get a pretty decent fire weather risk, especially out here in western Oklahoma. The National Weather Service has updated this one to an extreme category. So in other words, they are expecting a few fires out here. So do your best to kind of keep that under control. And then on Saturday, they kind of played around with the slight risk of severe storms. It was slight, and they dropped it down to marginal, shifted it to the east. And honestly, I think they'll go back to slight here, I think is what they'll do when they see the newest data. Right now, they have main hazards, large hail damaging winds. However, the new data tonight continues to suggest something else may be brewing. We'll take a look at that. Here's a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere as we head into that Saturday time frame for the late afternoon. And you're going to see this little guy right here is the center of the next storm system. And so that kind of comes out negative tilted, so to speak. All right. So that usually kind of helps to influence a pretty good, significant severe weather event when they kind of come out negative tilted, because it kind of helps to increase the shear, the both speed and directional shear component to it. Now, this is for late afternoon. This is right around 7 o'clock. So what we'll probably have is a little bit better influence in that prior to that here across the I-35 corridor. But anyway, so that's the position of the system. Now, if we look at the mid-levels of that, where it does have the lift in the lower to mid-levels, that extends into this fashion here, all the way down this little red line. And that happens to be along the dry line that will be developing within that. And that comes right through Oklahoma City, right? So that's the middle part of the state. So the 3-kilometer NAM, which we're going to use tonight for the moisture return, this is a snapshot here at 7 o'clock on Saturday, just to show you this very thin ribbon, this little corridor, theta E axis, which is bringing in the dew point values into the 60s. So you need 60s for tornadoes typically around Oklahoma. You also see a westerly wind here. I mean, a stout westerly wind and a very good southwesterly wind here. So you have a lot of convergence along a developing dry line. And that dry line is basically what separates the moist air from the dry air. And that is a kind of an invisible boundary you can't see, but it is there in the atmosphere. And that it helps to generate showers and storms. Okay, so the trend here I want to show you. This was this morning. Okay, so I want to show you what the trend has done. Let's see if the moisture trend, which I'll draw a line right here, has moved any. So let's go to the midday run and now the evening run. Did you see that? A lot of times models will push the dry line a little too far east, and they'll have it kind of in this facility. So what's happened, vicinity, not facility. I think I just made up two words. So what's happening is retrograding already in the data. All right, we're still early. So what this says is that the NAM thinks that we are going to have the juice back here across the greater Oklahoma City metro area. With that juice and with the shear becomes higher instability, better capes, still have not much of a cap at all, so very low capped atmosphere, which should mean the dry line have no problem kicking off thunderstorms. We have a decent hodograph. It's not perfect. No, most of them never really are, but it's good enough to do the job. Therefore, the possible hazard type is a tornado. So we will have to watch low lift and condensation levels to low cloud bases. So with over 200 meters per second squared of shear. So bottom line is the data is trending upward for the ability to see some more stout severe thunderstorms in here for Saturday late afternoon, early evening across parts of central and eastern Oklahoma. We do look at the upper levels of the atmosphere at 300 millibars. We have a nice, let's do this color here. We have a nice split flow across Oklahoma. That's a area where you split up the air, splits out, so you have a lot of lift in that column. Really helps get those thunderstorms going, so that's always a good thing to see. It 300 millibars, if of course you want storms. At 500 millibars, I have a nice speed max rolling through. It was more centered here, and it's kind of shifted to the north because the upper level storm system has shifted just a hair to the north. Still, though, in the vicinity, so that'll do it. As we look at the 850 millibar level for the low level jet, that's definitely got plenty of wind, speed in our direction here, so we're not lacking. And also at 925, even down to the surface, also very stout winds. So unlike this last system, we were shy on the low level wind component. Winds were very weak. They were supposed to pick up later in the evening, and they failed to do so. This is not that limitation, so a little bit different situation. Plus, looks like a little bit better instability. We'll probably, with the moisture coming in on time, it's probably looking a little bit better than it did the day as far as some magnitude of severe storms. All right, if we look at kind of an output where the model thinks there may be some thunderstorms that develop. Again, this is early in the run periods, but we're now getting to that window, and we'll see what they can develop. So right now, the HRRR likes to see a plethora of supercell storms breaking out here, just to the east of Oklahoma City down I-35 and up to the north. I will tell you there is a bias for the HRRR to put storms a little too far east. So if we take away that bias and shift it like that, there you go. Kind of lines along with the NAM, doesn't it? All right, let's go to the FV3 is a little bit too far to the east, but does have some storms. Same idea. One of our newer models that we're developing on this side, this has a look of those supercell storms back to the west, kind of like what the HRRR should have done. So I actually like this output. This looks good to me. This looks legit. And these are all supercell type structures to them, fairly well separated. Again, one should spell some trouble. We look at the NAM, 3 kilometers. Sometimes it has a problem producing storms, like the others, and that's fine. It's a bias, but the rest of the ingredients that I see are there. Let's see, what else we got? That one and this one as well. Also, a few supercells coming up into central northern Oklahoma. So odds are the cap will be a little bit stronger than what the models do say, because that just typically happens. And that can kind of cause a lot more spacing between the storms. And we may get kind of 2 areas. We may get the one with better energy and lift up to the north to help where there's no cap at all. And then there's some down here we have to kind of break the cap due to brute forcing and a little bit more heat and instability. So we might have kind of a 2 cluster situation. We'll see. Or we could have this guy here, which is kind of just a hit and miss. But still same kind of idea. The signal here split. It's just the northern wind went a little bit more to the south. But that is what we're going to have to watch for. The trend is going in this direction, so don't be surprised to see a slight risk and or enhanced risk back into the forecast for Saturday evening as the Storm Prediction Center updates based off the new model data and starts to throw in verbiage for potential for tornadoes. All right, let's go to the April 8th total solar eclipse. And unless you've been under a rock, you've probably been hearing about this for months. You're not going to get another chance for the 20 years, so this is it. So we will be seeing the sun shadowed by the moon to Earth right here in Oklahoma. So pretty cool. You don't have to go too far, although I'm sure the roadways will be quite chaotic, at least for the early bird drivers. Maybe some of you late guys that get last minute start might be all right. Here's a look at the upper level flow at that point in time. So we have our upper level low out here across the desert southwest. That kicks in a southwest flow aloft, which brings in the moisture, instability, upper level disturbances, sometimes some rain. So unfortunately, that's not exactly the best pattern for us when it comes to the eclipse, but you'll understand the outcome as a result of that by setting the stage and giving you the back end of the deal. So let's take a look here at midday for noon. And this is looking, which model did I pick here? I think I picked the American model because all intents and purposes, it tells the tale. So remember, the low is focused out here, and therefore that gravy train of moisture, Pacific, comes in at the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's 300 millibars. This is way up there, all right? Over 15,000, 18,000 feet up in the sky. Question is this going to be thick enough to block out a lot of that sunshine, right? And then do we have any other low clouds in it? Well, let me show you the trend. We'll go with the trend on this one, all right? We'll go back to a few runs here. So we'll see, has this trend increased the cloud cover across Oklahoma and Arkansas, Missouri? We'll take this little sweet spot right here. Has it increased it in this area or decreased it? So earlier days, wasn't much cloud cover there, right? Much moisture. All right, let's go to the next run. Oh, what was that? Look at that. Just all of a sudden, there you go. All right, let's go another run. Oh, kind of split the difference. Another one. No, still hanging in there. Another one. Oh, now we're back to full. There we go. Trying to split the difference again. And still kind of full. 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 And the last one here. All right, this is the latest data. So what did it do? It gave us some hope of a little dry slot here at that level of the atmosphere, that we might have a lot more clearing, a lot more thinness of the sky to see more of that sun. So, but you can see the blue is basically from Little Rock to the corner of Oklahoma, which is really where that track is. I'm going to zoom in for that here in a minute just to kind of show you. And I can show you what the difference looks like on a forecast sounding, just so you can understand why we're looking at this. All right. We said about 300 millibars. That's this level right here. The blue, or excuse me, blue. Where do you say blue on this map, Aaron? Ain't no blue on this map. The red is temperature, and the green is dew points. All right. So when these two run parallel, right on top of one another, it means they're saturated, and this is way up there in the atmosphere. So the problem is that we are saturated from this layer to this layer. That's a good 3,000 meters or so. All right, and that's 100% saturation, which means that's a pretty thick overcast, which means you won't see the sun. You'll still have daylight in this aspect, but you're not going to see like the big balling white, steaming ball in the sky, unfortunately, with this kind of a forecast sounding. All right, so that's kind of negative. Now there's plenty of dry air below, so there's no clouds there. Here at the bottom, there's a little hint of a little bit of low clouds here. Again, this is picking that spot into far southeastern Oklahoma. Now let me pick that spot kind of north. Let's go to the Tulsa area, for example, just to show you the difference. All right, so look what happened here. All we now have is this little thin layer right here where they're touching at 100% humidity. So that's a huge difference, only about 1,000 meters. What that means is those clouds are much easier to see through at that level, and you don't have that much blockage from the sun. And if you also notice down here, dry. In other words, these two colors are far apart. So that means you don't have any clouds at low level. So see what a little bit of a difference can make. And that's the point of me showing this, is to see how difficult this will be to get exact. Let's take the European in that same aspect, and it splits our picture up into 4 levels, and really a total cloud cover level here. So total cloud cover, again, white being 100% saturated, is kind of like this, with another area up in here. Kind of has that GFS look where it splits the difference in between, give you a little bit of hope, right? Now, if you look at the medium cloud cover, in other words, the middle levels of the atmosphere, doesn't have much at all. It's pretty much bone dry, so we're all pretty much good. This is barely anything down here. All right, then we go to low cloud cover. All right, low cloud cover has a stink right around the Dallas-Fort Worth area and a little bit here. Otherwise, not too terrible the rest of the area as return moisture comes into this spot. And then you have the high-level cloud cover on the European, which is, again, right here, like we talked about for the GFS, and then right here. So see, here you can see some hope, right? Remember, the GFS had this hope kind of around the Tulsa area, but the European has the hope right over the area where the track is. But you see how we're playing with just 100 miles or 200 miles in the difference of what's going to happen? And we're still, I mean, the models are great, but they're not perfect, and they're not going to be as exact as this, although we'd love it to be. But it shows you what is there, so it shows you what you have to deal with. All right, so if we were to plot the sun track on here and just kind of flip through total cloud cover from different models, for example, here's the Icon model. It's got quite a bit of clear skies here in central western Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. So this is it's actually the pick of the litter as far as any model you could pick. The American model, unfortunately, got quite a bit of that clouds, like we mentioned, but there's that breakup around Tulsa, like we talked about. The Canadian, I don't think the Canadian even knows there's a storm out there. It's been like this for days, so I'm not sure what's going on with that model. I would love for it to be right, though, but I don't think it's possible. And then we'll go to the European, and again, like the GFS, it gives you a little sweet spot in here, kind of anchored in this zone. Again, this won't be too bad up here across, well, actually it won't even matter because Eclipse is not total in that area. So actually it's really not bad at all. So you kind of, it's not bad. We're getting kind of some glimpse of hope, right? In this sweet spot for Arkansas and far eastern Oklahoma is kind of what I'm saying. But unfortunately, it doesn't look that really impressive for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yesterday looked a little better. Today looks a little more cloudier. Unfortunately, because we were going to start to get some rain and stuff develop in that area. We'll show you that here in a second. Here's a look at the entire country. This is a blend of the model data for cloud cover, and it still shows our sweet spot down here where we are, and it's looking good all the way up to the northeast. I mean, this is not too shabby. It's just Texas is just bad news, man. So anyone that rented cabins and stuff down here, that was a bad call, unfortunately, with the pattern the way it is. But from that point forward, north and east, it gets better and better. All right, so let's take a look here. Any rainfall for the midday on Monday. This is the American model. It's got the line in the sand right about here. The German model, also about the same. The Canadian, like we said, doesn't even really know it's even cloudy out there. And then there's the European, and it brought it a little bit more north, right, through the Dallas area. It's starting to pull that moisture here a little earlier. So what that means is that as we go into from midday Monday into Monday evening, this is all coming north. All right, so it's going to be raining in parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas as we head into Monday, late afternoon and evening, and then from Monday night to Tuesday, and then that sets up for next week's forecast, which we'll have showers and thunderstorms all around the area, and might be some severe weather, but right now we'll be at least wet we could talk about. So that's kind of the details on the eclipse. Temperatures, nice 70s for Friday, Saturday, Sunday during the day. On into next week, and what you do not see, thank goodness, knock on wood. You see any 30s? I don't see any 30s. So this morning, that should be our last freeze, and we should be out of here. No more of that nonsense. So that's what I got for you. So hopefully that was helpful. So I know the first deal here is, of course, let's go all in, right? Totality. And then where would you go? Willing to travel. So that's the other thing is, there's nothing wrong with hopping in your car and just driving east, right? I just don't know how, the roadways, how they're going to be. I would assume a lot of people have already reached their destination by Sunday night into Monday morning, anticipation. So that takes care of about, probably 2/3 of the travel and traffic. Then the other third is the last minute. Let's just drive out there and see it traffic. I imagine it might be pretty gross. All I can say is you can wake up, look at your Google Maps, and where it'll tell you traffic slowing, right? If it's all red, burnt red, use Waze. If it's all burnt red, accidents installed, and traffic moving at 5 miles per hour, you might want to rethink everything and say, screw it. I'll wait another 20 years. But otherwise, right now for the weather, heading eastbound and down I-40, and then from there, as you get into the Arkansas border-ish, Fort Smith, you can decide if you want to drop south, if the clouds aren't going to be too bad, or keep going east to like Little Rock maybe, or northeast from there, Ozarks, to maybe southwestern Missouri, southeastern Missouri, somewhere in there. Those are all good options to do. So if you really want to see it, that'd be my pick there to do you. All right, so should I just stay in Mexico, Melissa? Yeah, just stay in Mexico. We should all be in Mexico. But thank you for the stars, Shannon. Appreciate you. Elizabeth, thank you for the stars. Very, very kind. Ron as well. My boy David, I'll see you in Tulsa at. That's what I'm glad I saw you were watching. Corey, thank you for the stars. You too, Brenda. So I will be in Tulsa. Thank you, Mary. I will be in Tulsa for the Severe Weather Expo. All right. So if you haven't been, you need to go at least once. Bring the kids. The family deal. They got all of the TV stations, some storm chasers, the National Weather Service. There's usually some insurance companies. You know what? I hope there is some insurance companies because I'm going to let them have it. They're there because it's weather related, right? And that industry, there needs to be some government regulation, man, because let me tell you, they are jacking rates up in anticipation of losing money in the future due to climate change. Boy, it's a racket. I'm telling you. You don't have to believe me. I got the receipts. I do this for a living, and I am so irritated at that. I see the numbers. I know what's going on. Oh boy, I'm irritated because I'm in the same boat as you guys. They are hosing us left and right, and I've already had to see Allstate. They jacked me up 42%, and I said take a hike. So I had the local guys, 405 insurance advisors. I said, all right, Leah and Jason, help me out. Go into your basket of companies and find me one that's not going to screw me. They said, we got you. So they got me one that was actually cheaper than what I had initially and with a better coverage plan. I was like, are you serious? They said, yeah. They said, but they didn't warn me. They said, eventually it'll catch up. I mean, you can play the hopscotch game and whack-a-mole, but everybody's raising the rates. It's just who's raising, how much and how fast. And hey, if I can save a couple $1,000s, I'll do it. There was a friend at work, coworker of mine. He had a 1,100 square foot house and his rate was, or maybe 1,300 square foot house, something like that. And his rate was $11,000. I said, what? Come again? How much you paying? Man. So I don't remember what company he was with, but obviously he got the shaft on that one. I ain't paying that kind of money, especially for that size. That's crazy. So anyway, yeah, that industry needs to be regulated, and if it was up to me, tar and feather. Now that's just hyperbole, and that's just figure of speech. So for the automatic algorithms that search and destroy and cancel, that's all that is. That happened to me on Twitter. I said a hyperbole tweet. Never had a problem before then. Never had a strike. Never had a warning. Everything was fine. I post a hyperbole tweet, which obviously is something we don't really do today, but it's something you know quote from the old days. And I got immediate banned. I'm like, screw you, Twitter. So anyway, I'm not on Twitter anymore. So anyway, I haven't really missed it. But so anyway, I somehow drifted way off topic. But bottom line is, prepare for a few severe thunderstorms around here for Saturday late afternoon and evening. Again, I'll be at the fair. I keep calling it the fair. The Woodland Hills Mall for the Severe Weather Expo. It's from 11 to 3, and then I'll be hightailing it back to Oklahoma City to come to the office. That way I can be here in case some tornadic storms do develop, and if so, I will cover them live. And then otherwise, for the eclipse, the viewing conditions seem to have improved slightly in the model data. Not great. You have to pick your poison, and it may be one of those deals where you might have to just kind of be fluid. No matter where you've decided to stay, you might have to be willing to drive, right? And then those in Texas are just bad news everywhere. If they're south of Dallas, there's no chance. If we're looking for clear skies, that is. Obviously, it's still going to get dark. But if you're wanting that full effect of just full sun, and all of a sudden now it's just pitch black, you got starlight, you can see the stars. You see what I'm saying? Get the whole full effect. You can't go there. You got to go northeast. So pretty much most of the country, with the exception of Texas, on the track of that, will actually be in good shape. So it's just luck of the draw down there. Yeah, Cindy, like 1776. All right, that's it for me. I will probably give you guys a live for noon tomorrow on Friday, and possibly again Friday evening. We'll see. And otherwise, I'll be at the mall on Saturday. Obviously, I'll do a live there, but it'll probably be just about meet and greet and walking around versus doing the weather. We'll see. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your night and sleep well and a good Friday, a good weekend, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. See ya.